Who decided what survived? By the time belief reaches us, it feels settled. Scripture feels complete, tradition feels fixed, authority feels ancient. But the Dead Sea Scrolls tell a quieter truth. Belief did not begin as a single path. It began as a field of possibilities. Across the scrolls, we see a world where multiple interpretations existed. Different understandings of angels, different expectations of messianic figures, different ideas about destiny, law, and divine authority. None of this was hidden, it was debated. The people who preserved these scrolls did not see themselves as heretical. They believed they were faithful, they believed they had insight, and that is what makes the Dead Sea Scrolls so important. They show us belief before decisions were finalized, before the authority narrowed the interpretation, before doctrine hardened, before questions became dangerous. At some point, belief moved from exploration to preservation, from discussion to defense. This shift didn't happen overnight. It happened as communities grew larger, more diverse, and more difficult to unify. Belief had to become teachable, repeatable, stable. Texts that created clarity were favored. Texts that created complexity were quietly set aside. Not burned, not erased, just no longer centered. The Book of Enoch is a perfect example. Fragments of it were preserved alongside scripture in the Dead Sea Scrolls. It was read, respected, and debated, and yet it did not survive canonization in most traditions. Not because it lacked influence, but because it raised questions that doctrine struggled to contain. Questions about divine beings, about hierarchy, about knowledge arriving too soon. The same pattern appears again and again. Belief narrows as authority grows. Ambiguity gives way to certainty. Multiplicity gives way to unity. Canon is not simply a collection of texts, it is the end result of choices. Choices about what could be taught widely, what could be governed, what could endure unchanged. The Dead Sea Scrolls do not accuse those choices, they reveal them. They remind us that what survives history is not always what was most believed, but what was most sustainable. This realization changes how we read everything that comes after. Scripture doesn't lose its meaning, faith doesn't lose its value, but context returns. We begin to see belief not as something that fell from the sky fully formed, but as something shaped by time, debate, and human decision. The scrolls were hidden in caves as the world around them collapsed, not to be rediscovered, but to be preserved. And now that they've been found, they ask us something quietly profound. If belief once had multiple paths, if sacred texts once existed side by side, if authority once chose which voices would lead, what does it mean to inherit only one outcome? And if history remembers what survived, what wisdom might still be waiting in what didn't?